What advice would you give to young people, the both of you, that you have both audiences where young people look up to you in general? If you were to give advice to somebody in high school, like how to create a life they can be proud of, what would you say?
The most important thing that I've learned is to view people as different and not better or worse. And when you view people as different instead of better or worse, you learn that there's almost something that you can learn from anybody. Like be open and empathetic towards other people's experiences. Nobody does anything by random choice. Like there's always reasons why people act the way they do. And as long as you're willing to kind of like be open and receptive to the lived experiences of other people, you're going to be able to gather information and create like a more cohesive and better view of the world than any of your peers will.
Do you have any kind of advice you can give to young
Younger
folks?
people. I feel like something that I see, especially in America, a lot is that a lot of people kind of get told what to do early on. Like in high school, they're supposed to become this thing, like education-wise, like they're supposed to like become a doctor or this thing or whatever, and then they kind of just like give up on things that they're actually passionate about. So I think a lot of teenagers get really confused. They get an education and then they get that job and they hate everything, and they think that when they're reaching the job, when they're reaching like the journey, they're gonna get happy. That's like where the happiness is gonna be. But then when they get to there, they just hate everything, and then they become really depressed. And I've seen this so much. Like I see this all the time, and it's pretty sad to me to see so many people that are just wasting time, and then they just get really confused. And I don't know. It's the same thing with relationships too. No one really knows what they want anymore. I feel like everyone is just kind of doing whatever like society is saying, or their parents are saying, or their friends are saying. And they're never really doing anything that's super meaningful anymore. And like they don't. So what I would say is like try to find something that is important to you. It could be anything really, like some sort of passion, maybe like your friends, maybe like what matters to you. Like figuring those things out, I think is really important.
And that comes from being able to listen to like some inner voice. So it's not
Yeah,
gonna come from elsewhere.
It's really hard because you're living the life and like there's things happening around you and people tell you what to do and what not to do, and no one really has like their own opinions. Everyone is just kind of like listening to the cooler thing, or
Except Steven, he seems to stand on his own.
True.
Yeah, I guess.
Free thinker.
Yeah, I'd say so. And like
hashtag.
like something I realized too, like because we just went to TwitchCon and we were talking to a lot of streamers.
How was that?
It was interesting. I thought it was interesting because the few people that I feel like that seem really cool and that I look up to, like in the streaming world, all of them wants to quit streaming. All of them wants to do it. No one likes it. And they're so successful. Like they are around successful people. They're working every single day. They're working hard. They're making so much money. And everyone is just complaining. And like they're complaining about like not being able to see their partner, or because they need to live somewhere else. And I see these things and they seem extremely unhappy, but it's so hard for them to just like cut all this successful stuff off, because that's like what you learn to do, and that's like supposed to be like your happiness, but it isn't. Everyone is really unhappy.
Yeah, there's something about, maybe streaming is different, but YouTube folks too, I've interacted with a few, and even in podcasting space, people become obsessed about the views and numbers and subscribers and stuff like that. So I never talk about that. I don't pay attention to that. I feel like that's a drug that destroys your mind. Your mind as an artist, ability to create truly unique things. Also your mind in terms of the anxiety, the ups and downs of the attention mechanism. And then also being just, if something that you make is not popular, but it meant a lot to you, you will think of it less.
Yes.
Because it's not popular.
Yeah.
And that's a really dangerous thing. And because everyone around you is reinforcing, like I'll get messages like, wow, this thing got this many views or something. Great job. It's like, no, you don't get it. Like that's not, everyone is enforcing this, like this language of views and likes and so on. And it's correlated, of course, because truly impactful things will get a lot of attention often, but it's not on the individual local scale, like temporally it can really fuck with your mind. And I see that in the creators, they become addicts to the algorithm,
lost in chasing views. Like we know friends that we know cool people, and then they start streaming, and eventually they're like chasing the dragon of like
And they change, like it's like
They
hard to
change who they
engage
are
for them
completely.
anymore.
And there's
Yeah.
like, this is something I've always said that like one of the biggest blessings and biggest curses of humanity is we are very good at acclimating. Like you can become paralyzed, you can have all sorts of horrible things happen to you, and you'll get used to it and you'll be okay. You can have like a good baseline. But it works the other way too, in that you can get more and more and more and more, and you acclimate to it almost immediately. There's like, this is a phenomenon that I bet it happens in the YouTube world, but I know it happens in the streaming world, where you're streaming 1,000 viewers every day, huge event happens and you blow up and you got like 15,000 viewers for a day or two. And then it starts to go down and down and down and down and down. And then after all the drama died off, you're at like 3,000 concurrent viewers. Now in the macro, you went from 1,000 to 3,000. That feels awesome. But you actually feel like shit the whole time because you're remembering when you had 10 or 15,000 and now everything feels horrible. And you'll see people climb over time. They're like, fuck, like, but whatever that one huge stream I had, like, I've never like been able to. And it's like, dude, you're doing great. That happens a lot.
There's so many people that we know that we find super, super cool. They're passionate about things. They have so much interest. And then they just get like so addicted to these numbers. And like everything is just ruined. Like all the cool things about them is ruined because they stop doing the things that they actually like to do something else that gives them more viewers and more money. And it's really sad to see.
Yeah,
And,
that temporary sacrifice that seems temporary is that it actually destroys you. Like for one time making a choice, because I come across those choices often. Like I can do this. You can kind of know what's going to be popular and not, and you have to ask yourself that question: like, is this going to sacrifice?
because if people are sacrificing like intimate relationships, they're sacrificing time with their family, they're sacrificing time with the things that they feel good about and that they like. And that's something I kind of realized last year because I was working so much and I was just grinding, but because it was kind of new for me. And then New Year's came by and I was like, wait, what did I even do like the entire year? Like I traveled to a bunch of places, but nothing actually really meant anything to me because I felt like I was just working the entire time. I felt like I was just numb through the entire year, and it was really scary. Like I rented a super pretty house like for a week with my dad and my sister because I wanted to spend time with them. But the entire time I was just streaming, and I actually didn't ever like calm down and just like chill with them. And I like that's like time I'll never get back. I don't give a shit about the money that I made that week, but I lost the time, and like that is really important to me. And and a lot of people are doing that. And I feel like you, as you said, like you can definitely see that in like artists, for sure. I feel like if you look at like artists like back in the 60s or 70s, I feel like things were just so much better back then. And it feels like they were actually making music that meant something to them. They were actually making art. And I feel like today everything is just kind of like whatever is cool, whatever sells, whatever, sounds in a certain way. Everything is kind of the same thing. And everything that is very artistic and very cool is actually not that popular at all. And that's kind of sad, I think.
Yeah, of course, there's now bigger mechanisms and platforms to spread stuff, music. So as long as you could be content with not being popular, I think you can still create great art.
But not like when people get a little popular, they get addicted to that so fast.
Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah.
You have been somewhat good, at least from my outsider perspective, because I think I can at least imagine you making choices that could make you more popular, and you don't seem to make those choices.
I sabotaged my career like playing League. But it is very intentional, like you said. Like, and I made that choice at every single stage of my life. One is because from the perspective of being a carpet cleaner, my life is way better than that was or ever would have been. So I'm already doing way better than I ever thought somebody like me ever could be. But then two, I super love my job. Every time I wake up, every time I fly to a place to do a podcast, every time I get to talk to really cool people, like every single part about my job, I super like. If there's something I don't like, I just cut it off because I don't care. Because I'm already making plenty of money doing what I do. And why would I ever wake up and not like what I'm doing when I can like what I'm doing?